The holidays are right around the corner, and Acme Markets is ready with Lancaster brand meats, delicious desserts, custom party trays, and a large selection of gift cards. We're your one-stop holiday shop, so you can spend more time enjoying the holidays. It's the last week to get your free Jennie-O Grade A basted frozen turkey or turkey breast when you spend $100 in a single transaction with in-ad coupon. And get blackberries, blueberries, or raspberries. Buy one, get one free, mix and match. Acme, your new favorite local supermarket.
Blog Talk Radio.
Protesters, do yourself a favor, will you please? You lost the election fair and square, and I voted for Hillary 1,000th time. You lost the election. We all know that you have a right to protest. We understand that. We understand this is America. For the most part, it sounds like last night in Seattle, in Portland, in L.A., in Chicago, in New York. Now, you probably caused massive confusion for commuters trying to get out of there, which is completely unfair. It's not their fault that Trump won. So you probably you inconvenienced a lot of people, but at least, protesters last night didn't set cities on fire. So that was a positive. But the idea now that the protesters say Trump's not my president, guys, you had a chance to beat him. You did not beat him. You had a chance to win. Probably half of you who were protesting. First off, I watched all the protests last night. 99% of the protesters were 20 years old. 20 years old. I mean, these are kids. They were tiny. They were babies who are not old enough to understand the democratic process when you vote for a president. Bottom line is, you had a chance. If you're so upset now, you should have beat him. You couldn't beat him. He won. Fair, nothing was rigged. I know he claimed that if he lost, he would scream. Again, that's prior to election. He went way over the top. We understand that. But he won fair and square. He won. He did not lose. So you guys who are protesting in every big market in the country, Trump Tower here and Trump there, you know what? Go feed the homeless. Right? Go read to the blind. I mean, you acting like babies. You lost. It's absolutely ridiculous. What are you protesting? Your president, our president, basically said, hey, Don, let's go. Let me show you how this works. They broke bread today. Yet you're protesting down Fifth Avenue. Really? Really? You lost the election. Simple. I don't think anybody would have protested who hated Hillary if she won. What do you think? They would have marched on Chappaqua? Where she lived? Nobody would have protested. The anti-Hillary people, and by the way, the Hillary people hate Hillary as much as the Trump people hate Trump. Trust me on that. I know that for if they can't stand her. Hate her. All the baggage, think she should be, all the things that she's done. They wouldn't have acted like this. You gotta do something constructive. Out at 11 o'clock at night, don't you got school the next day? Don't you gotta catch the school bus? I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous. And then I hear today that some college professors gave their kids the day off from school. Oh, what are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. Show some guts. Guys, we lost. We'll live. Let's go to class today. I can't take a day off if I wanted Hillary to win. It's the real world. And I cannot believe some of the reaction from the liberal groups in America, teachers included. I went to college. I know how liberal colleges are. All my teachers, who I love to death, were liberal as long as the day was long. Gary Williams, Tom Larson, I give you all the names. Charles Edmondson, Barry Lane, Barry Levis. Want me to continue? Rollins College. Best teachers I've ever had. Had a great education there. Liberal as hell. But one thing I know they wouldn't do, they wouldn't say, Chris, you know what? I'm upset too. Take a day off. Cool off. No school today. What, are you kidding me? It's the real world. He won. Move on. My God. I've never seen such a thing. Absolutely ridiculous. And I saw all these interviews with these kids. They're 10 years old. Jeez. Maybe their diapers changed. And I get the idea that, we're allowed to protest. But it's almost like their parents protested, civil rights, and they marched on Washington with the Vietnam War, and were there when Martin Luther King gave the I have a dream speech. please. That drove me crazy last night. A bunch of nonsense. Nonsense. That's number 3.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Jordan Radio, Season 5, Episode 10, November 10th, 2016. Tonight on the program, it's Trump and Hillary. We'll talk about that, the hot car death trial that is breaking for the weekend. Jerry Sandusky wants a new trial. Jose Fernandez, the autopsy is out. We'll talk about that. The Cubs break the 108th-year curse. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to bring back to the program, he's a legal analyst. You see him on CNN. He is a defense attorney out of the New York City area. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Richard Herman. Good evening, Richard. How are you?
Good evening, King Jordan, the great King Jordan. Wow, what a week, huh?
What a week, and let's get right into it. You heard the opening monologue, and...
who was that lunatic screaming? Who was that?
That's a sportscaster turned into a politician.
Yeah. He's going to have a heart attack, so he's done. We won't be hearing from him anymore. He's going to blow a vein in his neck. He's out of control. But let's before we start here, the reason why you're so good is because you do your homework, you understand the topics, you understand the theories, and you have a support group that is just second to none. And I just got to rattle a few names off to send some shout-outs to them. And I'm going to miss Son, and I'm sorry, but we love you all. Jordan does. I certainly appreciate all your kind words.
Yes.
Pedro, Sarah, Phil, Vicky, Lisa, Mary, Debbie, and Maddie, you guys are wonderful, and that's why we love entertaining you and educating you. So anyway, what happened in this election? Why did it go this way? Why was everybody wrong? Well, everybody was wrong because the Democrats were wrong, the Republicans were wrong. I mean, they could have said they thought they were going to win, but I don't think they thought they were going to win. The Democrats were walking around high and mighty, cocky. They're going to win this thing. They had it all mapped out, and they were wrong. The pollsters were all wrong. The media had it totally wrong. So, hell has frozen over, and the world is different. And people are ranting and raving because Trump was, he was like animalistic during the course of the primary period where he took on everybody. I mean, this guy took on everyone, all these seasoned Republican politicians, and he blew them up. He blew them up. And then he took that same strategy for the general election. And everyone, you can't do that in a general election. You can do that in a primary, but you can't do that in a general. And he did the same thing. And he brutalized Hillary in the general election. And he was out of control. And he was saying insane things. And he was like virtually lying every day, like multiple lies and being fact-checked. And he just on and on. And it's hard to be a woman in this country. It's hard, and you've come a long way, women. And I remember that commercial for the cigarettes. You've come a long way, baby. But you still got a long way to go, unfortunately. And you learn that lesson the hard way because it's not good. It's not good, and you better pray that these 3 members on the Supreme Court, you better pray for Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Stephen Breyer, and Anthony Kennedy. You better pray for their good health for the next 4 years. That's all I can say because, he's going to replace Scalia's position, and Scalia was staunch conservative, so, he's going to replace it with that. He controls the Senate. He controls the House of Representatives, so they're going to rubber stamp. And what Republican's going to stand in this guy's way right now? I mean, who is going to stand up to him? Nobody. But before we
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
In hindsight, looking back, Bruce Springsteen, LeBron James, was that a mistake by the Clinton camp with
I'll tell you,
all these celebrities?
I don't know if it was a mistake. Look, she won the popular vote, okay? Let's say that up front. She won the popular vote. She got more votes than Trump. Okay, so it's like she didn't get blown out, okay? She won. She got more votes than him, like Gore got more votes in that election. But the killer, and the killer for her was, Florida could have gone either way, and it looked like Southern Florida was going to come in for her, and it didn't. And then, North Carolina and all the rhetoric we heard all week, and they're going to be marching and voting and all this, all bullshit. North Carolina laid down like a dog for her. And then, Georgia, she never had a shot in Georgia, but Pennsylvania, for the Democrats, Pennsylvania was just the stake in the heart to lose Pennsylvania. I don't even know the last time a Democrat, George H. Walker Bush, I think, won Pennsylvania. I mean, it's been a long time. You got to, this is 2 times Obama took down these plus Clinton. She lost Pennsylvania, and then she lost Michigan, and then she lost Wisconsin. It's over, man. It's over. And I don't think Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi and LeBron James and Jay-Z and Beyonce, all that stuff, that's star power. That's big star power. But, here's the hard line is the Democrats didn't come out to vote. That's the reality of this election. 10 million less voted, and it's just, you can't have that. You can't have that. Trump got less votes than John McCain, and he got less votes than Romney. Think about that. Hillary got 10 million less votes than Obama in 2008. 10 million. And in 2012, she got 6 million less than Obama. 6 million people in 2012 who voted for Obama did not vote for Hillary this time. So who didn't vote for her? A lot of black people didn't come out to vote. He stood up there and said, what do you got to lose? And maybe they said, all right, we're going to take a chance with you. So a lot of black support did not go to Hillary, or they just, they weren't energized as first black President Obama. They're going to go vote for him. And are they voting for him for his policies, or are they voting for him just because he's black? And if that's the case, well, isn't that racism? But let's not get into that for now. The fact is they didn't come out and vote. They didn't come out and support the Democratic candidate. They didn't support the one who President Obama and Michelle ran all over the country. And you got to it's politics, but this guy, he ran around fighting hard for her. And Michelle Obama gave, some beautiful speeches. And there was no reason for 6 million from 2012 black voters to stay home. This was the person that their candidate was endorsing, and they just stayed home. They didn't come out to vote. And let me tell you something, a third of the Latino vote went to Trump. What does he have to do or say that's going to shake them up? Because he said crystal clear, if you're here undocumented, that's illegal. You got to go. You can try to come back, but you got to go. So I don't know. Maybe they like that. They like that. And a lot of women didn't vote for Hillary. And you would think an opportunity to make history. My mother called me when she voted. My mother's 84 years old. She called me crying after she voted. It was so emotional for her. Crying. When we were thinking about her mom who passed away at 100 and what this would have meant for her to see a woman candidate, and all your listeners and, everybody around, and I'm looking at my daughter and I'm saying, I took her with me to vote, and I said, this is historic, I'm going to take pictures with you, and it didn't happen, and it just didn't happen because people did not vote for her. Black people, believe it or not, switched votes to Obama. There are nice percentages of the black vote that went to Obama. Higher than Romney and higher than McCain. He got that with everything he was saying and doing, and it was the media saying he's racist and he's misogynist and everything else. They voted for him. They didn't come out for Hillary. They voted for him. And look, nobody in the history of this republic has been investigated like Hillary Clinton. Nobody.
Right.
No, I think who more qualified to run for president? Look up Herbert Walker Bush Sr. Look his qualifications when he ran, because he was pretty impressive. But Hillary has devoted her life to politics, good or bad. Hillary was the first lady for 8 years, and Bill did an incredible job for this country, and they maligned him every which way. But when he left office, after all the bullshit and everything else, he had a 65% approval rating, Bill Clinton. So let's remember that, okay? But the Benghazi investigation, the investigation by the Republican witch hunt on her, on Benghazi, which ultimately the findings were there was nothing she could have done or the United States could have done to have prevented that. That was the Republican witch hunters' ultimate finding in an investigation that lasted longer than the 9/11 investigation. Think about that.
Wow.
Now you have this lunatic holed up over in London, I think he is, or somewhere, this Julian Assange, and you have the Russian government working in conjunction with him, basically turning over tons of personal emails from every Democratic person around. And if he was doing that for Trump too, then it's an even field here. But they weren't. They were doing that. To help sway the election. And people can read an email and interpret it one way, or they can take a slant on it. And I mean, it was just, I never seen anything like it. When you write an email, do you think that the world's going to see your emails? My father always taught me, don't ever put it in writing if you don't want everyone to see it. Well, how true is that today? I mean, they got Deborah Wasserman Schultz. I mean, they got this woman gave Hillary the answers to the questions. I mean, she gave her the questions. Donna Brazile. I always liked Donna Brazile. I thought she had integrity, and she turned over the questions. We wouldn't have found this stuff out. And look, if you think Donald Trump is a babe in the woods, you can forget it. I mean, I would just love to have seen his emails. Of course, we didn't see that. So, she was fighting that. And then you have this guy Comey, and I know Comey. I know the FBI director. He was lead prosecutor in New York, in the Southern District of New York, and he was a pretty straight shooter, and you could talk to him. And Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General from Brooklyn, she was the head attorney in the Eastern District of New York, and she also was a very, very hardworking, industrious, intelligent woman with a lot of respect by everyone. So Comey, for whatever reason, and I got to believe it's all politically motivated, comes out with this, you're under investigation, you're under criminal investigation. Then he exonerates her. He says, well, there were crimes that were committed here, but, it's never been prosecuted, and we don't think you had the mental intent. And we'll get to that later on today about the mental intent. Did you intend to commit a crime? Did you really intend to commit a crime here? And he said, no, she didn't. She was just careless and reckless. So he said, we're not going to prosecute, and we exonerate. And okay, and everybody could live with that, And then a week before the election, he makes that announcement. And it was so reckless of him to do that. And what was the announcement? We're continuing the investigation because we have information that there are other emails. That's it. Now, at the time, those were all duplicate emails, okay? Duplicates. But when he made that announcement and Fox News jumped on it and then Trump jumped on it, it's over for her, because if you're in the middle, if you're still wavering, and frankly, if you hadn't have your mind made up at least a week before this vote, I think you need to go to Bellevue, okay? You need to get your head examined. I mean, you really do, because there's something major wrong. You got a loose screw there somewhere. But, this guy comes out with that announcement a week before. Now, I know he tried to clear it up over the weekend and all this, but you know what? The damage is done. The damage is done. So, look, she
let me ask you,
yeah.
the people that are listening, sitting home now, that absolutely hate Trump and that are writing things to me right now, what do you tell these people that hate Trump, that are rallying?
Here's what I tell them,
them?
Jordan. Here's what I tell them. Here's what I tell them, okay? I don't know what your constitution is. If you like a nice glass of wine, you know, there's beautiful Brunello Italian wines that are delicious. There's great French wines. There's beautiful single malt scotches on the market and beautiful bourbons, or, you know, pot's being legalized everywhere. Take something, relax. Just step back. My dear buddy Johnny Jacobs, a great lawyer in New York City, passed away, pancreatic cancer. I love this guy. He always would say, step back for a second, and just step back. Let me tell you a few things about Donald Trump. First of all, Donald Trump is a New Yorker, okay? Donald Trump, believe it or not, is a Democrat. He's always been a Democrat, okay? I don't care what his title is, Republican. He's always been a Democrat at heart, okay? He loved Bill and Hillary Clinton. He loved them. He donated to them, and he loved them. He's not a moron, okay? Don't take him for a moron. He did The Apprentice. That was a TV show where he has a persona, and he gets up there and he criticizes these people, and then what's his great line at the end? You're fired. It's his control. It's his tough guy, you know? But let me tell you something. He did that. He took on that persona in the election. It worked for him in the primaries. He kept it up in the general election, and he won. I would go all in with my chips if I could get him on a lie detector test and ask him, do you really think, Donald, you were going to win this election? Because I don't think he thought he was going to win, and frankly, I don't really think he wanted to win this election. But it just started the momentum just kept going and going, and he won. So what is he going to do? He came out that night. He could have been an animal that night. He could have been an animal. Instead, he was very gracious. He spoke highly of Hillary. He praised her.
He did.
And he didn't blast her or shit on her, and he could have done that, and he didn't. He was a gentleman. He went to meet President Obama today, and look, let's face it. I mean, this guy for 8 years has been brutalizing President Obama on this birther bullshit crap, brutalizing him, and has said in all his campaign promises he's going to undo everything that Obama has worked for in the last 8 years. I'm going to undo it all. It's beginning with the Affordable Care Act. I'm going to get rid of everything. And now they have to sit down face to face after President Obama's been up there saying, you know, just a week ago, this man's unfit to be president of the United States. Think about this.
Unfit.
They had to sit in a room together, make the peace, shake hands, and you know, I think that Donald Trump, in referencing his father, who passed away, and his brother, who meant an awful lot to him, I think he's grasping the moment in time. They're telling him, look, Donald, she won the popular vote. It wasn't like you blew her out, you know, all the way. You know, she won the popular vote. So the country is severely divided. And if you think you're going to go for 4 years and you're going to deport 12 to 15 million people, and you're going to build this, you know, wall that you say you're going to build, and you're going to bomb the hell out of ISIS because you know more than the generals, if you think you're going to implement that, in reality, it's not going to happen, and people aren't going to let them do that. So what I'm saying to all your listeners, and what I believe in my heart, and I don't know, I'm speculating, but what I believe is Trump is not going to want to ruin his reputation, okay? He's not going to want to go down in history as the absolute worst president in the history of the Republic of the United States. I think you're going to see him moderate. You're going to see him turn back on some campaign promises. I'm telling you, he's going to. And when you say I'm going to do something, you know, fortunately, we're still a democracy, okay? He's not King Donald Trump, so he can't just dictate things. And although the Republicans control the Senate and the House of Representatives, and look, the Democrats have no one to blame for this. Here they are saying the Republican Party is fractured, the Tea Party splintered them, they have no control, they have no direction, they're lost. They kicked the Democrats' butt, and the Democrats are now the ones that are splintered and lost, and Bernie took her to the ropes in the primaries, and she couldn't win, and she couldn't beat President Obama, the first black Muslim person running for president of the United States. She couldn't beat him. She almost, she went to the wire on Bernie Sanders. They had to do all kinds of backdoor things for Bernie, who had a lot of momentum and was rock and roll. And think of it, a socialist Jew was taking her down in the primaries. Think about that. So you've got the first black man who beats her. You got the socialist Jew who is, really pushing her to the limit, and she barely gets out of that. And then she's got a mental case in Trump in the election, who's saying and acting. If Obama acted like that, oh my God, they'd have him incarcerated. Right. They'd have him in Bellevue. But Trump got away with everything because the bar was set so low. Trump did great. He read from the teleprompter, and people were celebrating that. Think about it. Just think about the double standard here and how Trump was evaluated and treated as against Hillary. And I felt bad for her at the end. Her political career is over. It's over. She's done a lot for this country. I think she was a severely flawed candidate. I think Joe Biden probably could have won this election if he had run for president. And I don't think Bernie Sanders could have won, because I think that, it was almost cult-like with him. And, he's got some good messages, but he's also a little off the wall in some things. President of the United States. So, and I'm looking and I'm reading today, the Democrats are all excited for the next election because they're looking at Elizabeth Warren, and they're looking at the vice president now, her running mate for vice president, or Andrew Cuomo. Well, let me tell you, if those are the three that they're going to put up to run next time, you can give Trump 4 more years. So they better go to the drawing board. They better go to the drawing board. They better come up with a real legitimate candidate. It doesn't have to be a woman. It should be the best qualified person. If it's a woman, then put her up to her and get some grassroots support for her and get people to support her. But the biggest thing I wanted to say to you and to everyone watching is that you look what happened in the UK with this Brexit, and nobody saw that coming. People in this, it's very hard after a 2-term presidency to win a 3rd term. It's very, very hard. And look at the history of the country, how many times that actually happened. Very, very rare. Right. So think about that for a second. Now people are hurting, and people want change. And people see Washington a complete stalemate because all these pieces of shit in Washington who obstructed President Obama on everything he wanted to do for the betterment of this country. Everything. They fought him on. He tried to name his dog, and they fought him on the name of his dog. Everything they fought him on. Tooth and nail, that was their stated goal. We're not going to help him do anything. That was a stated goal 8 years ago.
Give me a grade on a...
They're ignorant and they're racist. Yeah.
Give me a grade on Obama.
Yeah. And all these...
Years. Yeah, what do you give him? A, big, C?
Obama?
What would you give Obama?
President Obama?
Yeah.
Well, if he was white, let's just say, if he was white, I think he'd go down in history as one of the greatest presidents in the history of the country.
Wow.
What he walked into after President Bush, what he walked into was the end of the world. It was 1929. That's what he was walking into. You think about it. That stock market was done. Wall Street was done. The car industry was done. The economy was collapsing. Everything was falling apart. That's what President Bush left him. And he resurrected, and he built on it. And his numbers now, compared to then, are through the roof. And he gets no credit for that. And he took out bin Laden, and he gets no credit for this stuff because he's black. I believe that. I'm not just saying that. I believe that's what's been demonstrated to me by these people. So I don't think he was the best in foreign affairs, but what are you going to do? You got a group like ISIS, and you got, what are you going to do? How are you going to deal with these people? I mean, who has the right answer? Everyone's quick to point a finger, but, no solutions. No solutions, and this guy now is going to bomb the shit out of him. So, look, he's going to surround himself with intelligent people, hopefully, although I read today that he's considering Sarah Palin for a cabinet position. I mean, if he does that, I will projectile vomit for a week because, I mean, she is really a disgrace to everything. So hopefully he's just saying that for her, But I got to believe he said he's going to look to President Obama for guidance and counsel. He should. He should look to other presidents, too, for guidance and counsel. He should surround himself with people that are not, rational people, and they can have that conservative mentality because he won. And he won. And you got to, something, this is a complete outsider, not a politician, no experience whatsoever, came in and kicked everyone's butt. You need to stop for a moment and recognize that. You can be upset, you can be devastated, you can be crying, you could be hurting, and a lot of people are. And these people protesting, they should have voted, and this wouldn't have happened, but they didn't vote, and so they can protest. And I'm all for peaceful protest. I'm all for that, no matter what. So just keep it peaceful. Don't kill any police officers. Keep it peaceful, and that's it. But if you want to make change, if you want to change what's happened here with a guy considering Sarah Palin coming in his cabinet, and Rudy Giuliani as Attorney General.
Oh no! Oh my!
and this Chris Christie as staff head of staff. I mean, his employee two of them got convicted. These are his staff employees, but he's considering Chris Christie for something. This is what you get. This is what you get, America. This is what you get. You get complacent. You listen to the bullshit. You don't get up there. You don't study on your own. You sit back, lazy, and you think it's going to just happen, and it didn't just happen, and he's the president. And you know what? Win, lose, or draw, you need to – he deserves respect. Now, they didn't give it to Obama, but that separates people with integrity. Step back. He's the president. You've got to give him a chance. You must give this guy a chance. You have to watch him carefully. If it starts to spin out of control, there are ways to protest and fight and reach out to the other politicians to help you. But you got to give the guy a chance. He's just not going to throw out Obamacare. You have to replace it with something. He's saying all these – he can't – there's no way he's going to deport 12 million people. He can't. Physically, he can't. Can he build a wall? I think he can build a wall, this guy. I think he can do it. And,
really think so?
That was his thing. No. But before I forget, let me say one other thing, and then if you want to change topics or if you still want to stay on this. But Rudy Giuliani is probably going to be his attorney general. And I think right now with Donald Trump, who's every one of his rallies was, we're going to build a wall, we're going to build a wall, we're going to deport them all, and we're going to make America safe again, and lock her up. Lock her up. Mm-hmm. Lock her up. So now, do you think Donald Trump wants to have a special investigator appointed, or is going to, as soon as he fires Loretta Lynch and hires Giuliani as his attorney general, you think he's going to unleash him to go after Hillary? Because
no, I don't think so.
Well, you know what? I do think so. And I don't think he wants to do it. I don't think that Donald Trump wants to do it, but Giuliani's going to do it. He's going to tell him, if I'm your attorney general, you need to let me do what I got to do. And I think Giuliani wants to go after her. And here's the problem for Hillary, okay? Comey's analysis was what it was, and he gave that analysis to Loretta Lynch, and the Justice Department said, we're not going to prosecute her. But that doesn't mean they couldn't have prosecuted her. So there was a crime committed, and they could prosecute for that, number one. Number two, if you have a subpoena issued to you for documents and items, and then prior to the return date of that subpoena, you or people under your direction and control destroy those documents, that's obstruction of justice, and that's federally 5 years in prison, okay? So there were a lot of things destroyed after she was served with a subpoena for production. And to me, that's the scariest part, what she may be facing. So I think what we're going to see here is this. I think we're going to see President Obama in another month issue a full pardon to Hillary Clinton. It's been done in the past. Gerald Ford did that, and I think President Obama, to preserve Hillary, is going to do that, and I think he has to do that. And he can do that. He doesn't need anybody's permission to do that. He has no oversight on that. He has full power to pardon her even before there's a criminal investigation or she's indicted. He can pardon her. And I think, and in the background, I think Trump would be very happy with that. And I think Trump, for the record, should say he agrees with President Obama when he does it. I think Trump, with her winning the popular vote, should make that statement. Will he do it? I don't know. But I think Giuliani wants her. And if you unleash Giuliani, I think he's going to go after her. And that's not good. That's not a good thing.
No,
and you got
totally
this.
agree.
You got this Trump University fraud case. I don't know many cases where sitting presidents being sued in court for fraud and everything under the sun. And what impact would that have on his presidency? And the judge has already denied summary judgment in the case, so that means that he said if you can prove that Trump did X, Y, and Z, they will sustain their case, and that's fraud. Now, you have a sitting acting president who gets, a fraud judgment against them. It's state. It's not criminal. It's a civil case. If he gets does that have an impact on him? Do they try to impeach him on that? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's interesting.
Unreal.
It's interesting, and the beat goes on, and it's our country is in our country is hurting right now. Really hurting, and people are, I think, overreacting to this because it's just, I mean, nobody predicted it. Everybody was wrong. Everybody was wrong. Nobody had
all the
this
news
right.
outlets had egg on their face.
The only person who had it right was Donald Trump. He said, "I'm going to do it."
Yes.
He said, "I'm going to win Florida. I'm going to win Pennsylvania. I think I have a shot at New York. I'm going to win North Carolina. I'm going to win Michigan. I'm going to win Wisconsin." And, he said it. He said it. And that Kellyanne Conway, who I just can't stand her. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I can't listen to her. But you know what? That's the first woman to lead a presidential campaign in the history of the country. And she did it, and she won. So, you have to acknowledge that. I have to. I don't want to, but I have to. But I can't. If she's on TV, I have to turn it off. I can't listen. And frankly, I can't. And I try to listen to everybody. I watch all the stations, everything. And I turned off MSNBC and Fox months ago because I couldn't watch either one of them. And I'm trying to deal with CNN on this stuff. And when they're sitting there holding Florida and it's lights out, and they're holding Georgia and don't call and it's over, and to me that was just, I don't like that. Tell it like it is. Be real here. And the reality is that the Democratic Party, the Democratic constituents did not come out and support Hillary the way they did President Obama for his 2 terms. President Obama won Michigan and Wisconsin. Those were Democratic for a long, long time, and he turned them. Trump turned them, and he turned Pennsylvania. And you know what? He won. So deal with it. You got to deal with it. You got to deal with it. That's the reality
Absolutely.
of it. You got to deal with it.
Well said.
Okay.
Let's move on to the hot card death trial, and let's take a listen to this and talk in hilarious.
Last 30 minutes, a judge sent the jurors home for the week in the Ross Harris murder trial. A third day of deliberations failed to result in a verdict. Channel 2's Ross Cabot is live outside the courthouse in Brunswick. Some experts, though, think they're getting close. Ross?
it was about 30, 40 minutes ago when the judge gathered the members of the jury together and sent them home for the weekend. No court tomorrow because of Veterans Day, so a long break for them. That after they looked at a third video at their request that some believe pointed right to the most serious charge in the case.
And they asked for the monitor to be brought right up to the railing of the jury box so that they could see every little thing.
Jurors wanted to see one angle of a key piece of evidence in the case, surveillance video from the parking lot of the Home Depot office where Ross Harris worked.
And it's very difficult to see the details in this video because it was taken from an angle which is so far away. But they were paying very close attention.
The video shows Ross Harris returning to his SUV at the lunch hour, hours after he'd strapped Cooper Harris into his car seat, his child still inside as he tosses a bag of light bulbs into the Hyundai. This is our enhanced version of that video. Jurors requested to see this version where Harris's SUV is in the far left corner. Could he see his son inside as he tossed in that bag? And did he stop seconds later to watch another person walk near his SUV?
To me, that is why they wanted that particular piece of evidence, is to see what he could have seen or not.
Legal analyst Esther Penich watched jurors watch the video. She believes they may be debating over the most serious charge in this case.
Those go to malice murder. Those show that he knew his kid was in the car and kept walking away.
Okay, Richard Herman, the jury's taken longer than a lot of people expected, and they're out for the weekend. It's been a few days. Does the defense have a chance here?
Well, if you look at this, 22 days of testimony, 70 witnesses, okay? Long weekend coming up. You know, you would think that this jury was going to come back late today or sometime after lunch with a verdict, and they didn't. So what does that tell me? It tells me that, you know, you viscerally, you look at this case and you say, you know, why isn't this guy in prison now? What are they possibly doing? This stupid jury, what are they doing? And the problem here is that, you know, he's being prosecuted for murder, but he's being prosecuted under different portions of the statute for murder in the state. And the first one is malice murder. And what does that mean? That means that the prosecution, and by the way, in all these criminal cases, and I'm not just saying this because I practice federal criminal defense, but, you know, it's the highest burden of proof in our jurisprudence system beyond a reasonable doubt. Think about that. So you have that burden of proof. Now you charge him for malice murder. What does that mean? That means that this guy intended to kill his son. You have to find that specific intent. And remember, we talked earlier about Comey analyzing Hillary Clinton, and he said, look, I don't believe she had the intent to commit a crime. That's big. In criminal law, you need that intent to get a conviction on pretty much every crime. Some crimes, it doesn't matter, but most crimes you have to prove that the person intended to commit the crime. And here, you have to prove, and did the prosecution prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he intended to kill his son? And that's one area of a jury charge. And it's a kind of sophisticated jury charge. And, you know, you hear a jury charge, and a lot of lawyers don't understand jury charges. So lay people, they sit there and nod their heads, but you know they're really not understanding it. So, look, that's number one, malice murder there. And did he intentionally kill the child? I mean, that's big. If you can prove that, then it's over. If the jury believes he intended to do it, that's murder. However, it's also murder if a person dies in the process of him committing a felony. So in other words, if we go rob a bank, you and me, okay, and we rob the bank, and as we run outside to the car, you die, okay, I'm going to get charged with felony murder because this was in the commission of a felony that you died. So you're responsible, and that is murder. And any way you put it, murder here, you know, he's never going to see the light of day again. So just understand that. So what they were saying was they moved under a child cruelty aspect to get him up to a first-degree cruelty to children, which is a felony. And the cruelty to the child is leaving the child in a car locked up like that, completely neglecting the child. And if they can prove that to the satisfaction of the jury, not that he intended to kill the child, he was just reckless in his treatment of the child, they can come back with a murder conviction. Okay, so they've got that leverage in the case here. Now, the video that they looked at just now that we heard, the jurors are trying to see, could he see the child in the car? You know, that goes to the malice, that goes to the intent. Did he intend to kill the child? If the jurors believe that he could see the child in the car when he left, then it's going to be that malice murder. They're going to convict him on that. But I think you have some holdouts right now, and I think some of them are wrestling with the jury instructions. And look, it was an overwhelming case, and there were about 5 quick points that were brought up that are going to be considered by the jury in this case here. And one is Ross's double life, the fact that, you know, he was living, you know, a crazy double life, one as a father and a family man, and the other as a philanderer with visiting sex sites and carrying on like a wild man. So the jury has to wrestle with that. Number one, does that sway their opinion of him? And, you know, could they even nullify a jury instruction and just say, you know, I can't take it anymore. This guy, that's his son, and he's got to die for it. He's got to be convicted for it. So they're going to consider his double life. They're examining what he said at the time that he reported the child dead, and when he was first interviewed by police. They are really looking at his demeanor and how he was acting to try to deduce whether or not this guy, you know, is this what he wanted, like a Casey Anthony thing? Did he set this thing up? Did he really want it? Does he genuinely show remorse? Is he upset? His son's dead. You know, how is he acting? Is he acting like someone who is distraught, or is he acting like a cool, calm character? And so that was presented to the jury. And then you had his ex-wife come in. Just think about that.
Yes.
The ex-wife who finds out for the first time that he is, you know, banging these women, and he's carrying on sex sites, and he's doing all kinds of crazy things. And she hates him. I mean, you think about it. She hates this guy. She hates him with a passion. I mean, her whole life was turned upside down. She lost her child, and this is the animal she's married to, okay, who she finds out now after years of marriage. I mean, it's just devastating. Yet, she gets up on the
her testimony? Okay,
yeah, she gets up on the witness stand and says he loved the son. It would never have deliberately harmed him. That's her testimony. And as they tried to fight with her,
strong testimony,
and move her, and the defense attorney tried to engage her and antagonize her, she said, look, I hate this guy. He ruined my life. I hate him, and I hope I never, ever see him again. But I stand by my testimony. That's pretty powerful. If you're a juror, if you're one or two jurors and you hear that testimony, you know, I think that goes a long way. So, look, that was that testimony. Murder is murder. You got to look at the jury instructions. Was it intentional murder? Was it reckless? And was it reckless to the level of a felony for neglect of the child? You know, that's where it's at. And then again, they're looking at his demeanor. Was he crying? Was he faking?
If you were counsel for this guy, would you have used that in the closing about that, the testimony about the ex-wife?
Yeah. I mean, I would have been very big in my closing, and I would have said, look, this is a woman who gave her life to him. They had a child together. She loved him, and, you know, her world came out, and it's over, and she's never going to be the same. Yet she comes into this courtroom and tells you this, you know, and then if I'm the prosecutor, tells you that he never would have harmed his child, and you know, and if I'm the prosecutor, I then come in and rebuttal and say, you know, it was very moving, her testimony of a woman who really never knew her husband. She never knew him. so you can't rely on it. And that's devastating, and I'm sure that's how it went down in the rebuttal. So, look, I don't know where this thing is going. I know in my heart I jump out like all our listeners and you, and say this little child roasted in the car and died, and he's responsible one way or the other. He's responsible. He's got to pay, and he's got to pay legally. I'm not talking morally. I'm not talking when he ultimately dies. I'm talking about right now. He needs to pay, and so at the end of the day, I'm looking for a conviction here.
Okay, Mary wants to say something. She couldn't call in, but she said, in light of the fact that he didn't testify on his own behalf, what impact do you think that this will have on the jury? I know it should not have any bearing on it, but I think it might, she says.
Mary asks the billion-dollar question in every criminal case. It's the billion-dollar question.
Yes,
what
sir.
impact does it have on the jury when the defendant testifies or refuses to testify? And the general rule is, ain't no way you're going to put your client, the defendant, on the stand in a criminal case. You're not going to do it because FBI agents can get up there and get caught in lies. Other prosecution witnesses, detectives can get caught in lies, and the jury forgives them. They forgive them.
Right.
But if the defendant gets caught in a lie, then the jurors say, something, if this guy would lie like this, we can't believe anything he says, and it's over. Secondly, they analyzed him. They did some rounds with him. They prepped him. They did some mock testimonies with him. He's not a good witness. He's not likable, and he would do more harm than good.
He's
a little arrogant. He fluffs things. He boasts. He minimizes things, and he just wouldn't come across good. And the only real way you put a defendant on the stand is if your case is tanking. If you make an analysis that you can't win the case without...
What is that, when they throw the touchdown, Hail Mary, they call it, right?
Exactly. It's like Rodgers, at the end of from the 50-yard line, heaving one, and that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's so risky and so dangerous. But just know there's a very strong jury instruction that the judge gives to the jury, and it says you cannot negatively make a negative inference for the defendant not testifying. He or she has every right not to testify. It's our law. We protect that, and you can't look either way whether that person testified or not. You cannot make a bad inference on that. So, it's a strong jury instruction, and the defense attorneys refer to it in their summations too. But here, they just made an analysis. He would have done more harm than good, and he definitely would have sunk his case. So I think they have a fighting chance on the jury instructions.
And before we leave this case, this town is a very prosecution-oriented, not good for a defendant to stay in jail type town. Am I right, Georgia?
That's most counties throughout the United States. Your conviction rates are very, very high. Very, very high conviction rates. So, and this is Georgia, and you're going to have some religious people sitting on that jury, and they're not going to like this guy's lifestyle, and they're going to take it out on him. The question is, are they going to get, everybody? You need unanimous on this one. You need a full, 12-0 on this one.
No question about it, and the fact that they're at 3 days, I think it is very, I would think, concerning for the prosecution. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. The judge instructs the jury, you're not to read anything about this case, you're not to talk to anybody about this case, and they let them go home. So, what do you think they're doing? Some of them could be listening to your show tonight. Some of them could be on the Internet researching the case, watching TV, hearing legal analysis of the trial. That's what they do. That's the reality of it. But I would think most of them are listening to your show tonight. That's what I think. I would hope so. Okay, Penn State news. Jerry Sandusky appeal. Let's take a listen to this quick soundbite.
There's much to say it, but now Al Lindsay's going to say it.
What do you want to say?
Listen to him. Read what has been written. Why do you feel you deserve the courage to present? Al Lindsay will tell you.
Okay, I thought I had some better sound bites.
Yeah.
So
that was
Sandusky, that was him screaming at the press, telling to talk to his new attorney. But you did hear that he does want a new trial, and you heard about this accuser number 2 or something. Change the story. Bottom line, let's get to the facts of this. What do you think's going to happen now with this? Is there any chance?
Understand, he was convicted. He's in prison. He's incarcerated. He's
45 counts.
Doing his sentence, right. Under the law in Pennsylvania, there is a post-conviction collateral relief act, and that's where he filed his petition. And what he has to prove is that there were errors in his initial trial that were so significant that they were likely to have affected the jury's verdict. And, most states have something like this on the books. And this is what they rely on as a second attack after attacking the criminal defense attorney who put him in prison, saying he ineffectively represented them. But here, this is what he has to prove. And, during the course of the hearing, and he was entitled to a hearing, and he testified to the hearing, by the way. Sandusky actually testified at this hearing. One question, but he testified. And the point is that did they do anything to help his case? Did anything come out during the course of this hearing to help him? And the answer from the analysis and from what I've read is nothing. Nothing helped him in this hearing. Nothing rose to the level that he had to get in order to be considered for a new trial. And we're not even sure if this is victim number 2 or not. We're not sure that there were different stories. And look, initially Sandusky had not even been charged, and they reached out to this person, and he denied anything happening. And then subsequently Sandusky was charged, and as we know, Penn State paid out about $92 million in claims, and that meant every victim got a couple $1 million each, this guy being one of them. And then he changed his tune, and now that Sandusky's incarcerated, he feels free that he can say about his abuse by Sandusky, which he did say. He was adamant on that. He acknowledged that he said no in the beginning, but then he said, this is really what happened. And that's consistent with, repressed state of mind on some abuse victims. So, look, at the end of the day, it's not going to do it. A single judge is going to make a determination on this one, and it's a revolting case, and it's just not enough legally for this judge to sink his teeth into and give Sandusky a new trial. By the way, that's what it is. It's a new trial. So it's not, I think it's highly unlikely, but yet in this day and age where Donald Trump wins the presidency, I'm guessing. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. Anything can happen now.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's 72.
Just think about it. The Cubs won the World Series this year,
Yeah, the Cavaliers
anything can happen. And, a Yankee fan,
NBA Finals.
diehard Yankee fan, my whole life. I got Yankee seats at my house from the old stadium, number 7 everywhere, pictures, forced myself to switch it as a kid to be like Mickey Mantle, and I couldn't take it anymore. 108 years. I mean, my God, I was rooting for these Cubs like they were my team. I'm rooting for them like crazy.
Yes.
And I mean, this.
You were on the show last time. You picked them.
Yeah, and as a baseball fan, I mean, I think I saw the Yankees go up 3-1 on the Red Sox, who they owned. And then the Red Sox came back and beat them, which was probably the most devastating series that I've ever been involved in as a fan.
Oh, my. 3-0?
I wanted to vomit. I still want to vomit thinking about that. Yeah, I can't take that one.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, can't do it.
That was crazy.
You know what? They beat them, and that's what this was.
In
this was
spite
3-1.
of their horrible manager.
Yeah,
Joe
horrible.
Madden made some horrible moves.
Horrible. And the Yankees had that last game. They had it. They fell apart. And this team here, down 3-1, and they looked like they were dead. So it comes back 3-2, and then it comes back 3-3, and now people are getting crazy, and now they're putting their, Cleveland's putting their stopper in there. Nobody can touch this guy on 3 days rest only, and they lit him up. And then they just, they would not be denied the Cubs, and I mean, you got to tip your hat to both managers. Although the manager on the Cubs really almost blew this. He took those pitchers out way too early. I mean, he was getting too cute for himself. And but look, it worked out. It was I think it was the most exciting series I've ever seen.
What about that rain delay?
Helped the Cubs.
Did you think after the Indians tied it up that they weren't going to win it?
I thought the Indians had them. I thought they're home. It's Game
definitely.
7. It's in their field. The Cubs look flat. Who's going to come in and pitch now? Who have many pitchers they have left? Who's going to hit?
What really helped, though? Tell me if you agree. When they changed to the AL, American League Park, this way they got that guy Schwab to get to bat because he wasn't allowed to play in Wrigley, as you remember.
What
guy
a story!
Who play old.
What a story with that guy! I mean, this guy hit lights out. He was unbelievable.
He was like Babe Ruth, they said.
Yeah, and by the way, on that final out, he slipped on the grass when he threw that ball. You know that, the third baseman. He slipped on the grass. He almost fell making that play. But and there were some really ridiculous fielding errors in that game that kept Cleveland in it. I mean, I think it could have been a lot worse. But, look, it was very, very exciting. It was great for baseball. It was great for the city of Chicago. I'm very happy for them, very happy for the Cubs. Feel a little bad for Cleveland because, it's been a long time since they won a championship, too.
Great
so maybe next year. But it was a great series and very uplifting to watch that.
Yeah, it took our minds away from the politics. But that was very close. Terry Francona managed his heart out.
I don't like him, but you know what? He is a lucky guy, and he's a good manager, man. You got to hand it to him. He's a good manager, and they brought it. Those are good players on both teams. Those are really good players.
It was one for the ages. They did a 42.5 rating, which beat out the Sunday Night Football, which is the highest rated World Series since 2013. So that's pretty good. So the numbers beat out the NFL football game, that game 5, I think it was. Yes, that beat out that. So baseball, do you think baseball could take this momentum and bring it back? Because, some people say it's a little slow and this and that. Although I could take my eyes away from the post, the World Series. That was must watch.
Yeah, I mean, it was very,
come
very
back with a bang.
Very exciting.
Baseball in
very,
general.
Very exciting. I think the Cubs have a young, strong team. I think they may be coming back. I mean, they look really good. Really good.
Unbelievable.
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him come back.
Absolutely. Okay, this other story is a tragedy. Jose Fernandez. Let's hear about this story, and I'll talk to you on the other side.
It's been more than 1 month since Miami Marlins pitcher Jose Fernandez and 2 of his friends were killed in a boat crash off Miami Beach. Today, the medical examiner is saying the all-star athlete was under the influence. According to the autopsy report, Fernandez had both alcohol and drugs in his system at the time of the crash.
The report released just a few hours ago, but it is still unclear who was driving the boat. 7's Dan Keel is live at the jetty where that crash happened with the latest. Ann?
Well, that's right. And a toxicology report just released reveals Jose Fernandez was legally drunk and had cocaine in his system at the time of the tragic boat crash not far from where we are standing here on Miami Beach at South Point Park. That crash again killing him and 2 other young men. Vibrant Marlins star pitcher Jose Fernandez is unforgettable.
It's so sad. Very sad.
as is the boat crash that killed him and 2 other young men before dawn on September 25th.
Can I have a TAC channel? You can show my unit command on the scene. We have a guy in the water.
New details released about that crash reveal the 24-year-old was legally drunk with a blood alcohol level of .147, well above the legal limit of .08, and he had cocaine in his system when he died. That according to his autopsy report released by the Miami-Dade County Medical Examiner's Office. While the 2 other men on the 32-foot boat, 27-year-old Emilio Jesus Macias and 25-year-old Eduardo Rivero, had alcohol in their systems according to their toxicology results, neither was legally drunk. However, a report reveals cocaine was discovered in Rivero's blood.
If you cut close to that jetty, you're going to hit the bottom.
Their boat plowed into Government Cut North at a high rate of speed, according to investigators, leaving all 3 men with blunt force trauma. It was revealed this week that their bodies had a strong odor of alcohol on them when they were recovered by divers.
It does appear that speed was involved due to the impact and the severity of it.
Jose left us far too soon, but his memory will endure in all of us.
He is dealing. Wow.
And we spoke with Fernandez's family attorney, who claims that Fernandez was not driving the boat at the time of the crash. In fact, he says Fernandez was on the phone with someone at the time of the crash, and he was directing someone else who was at the helm. Investigators have not said anything about who they believe was driving the boat. Reporting live on South Beach, Ann Keel, 7 News.
I'm sorry, Richard, tragedy. Is Fernandez responsible for his death?
Well, look, we don't know who was driving the boat, but he was hammered. You know, everybody looks like they're hammered on the boat there. They're at a high-speed boat at night. You know, that's probably about one of the most dangerous things you could possibly do in a boat. Dangerous and reckless and selfish, because there are little jetties in the water there that you can't see at night, and, you know,
right.
That's what they hit, and it's over. I mean, these boats go so fast, and it's stupid. I mean, it's just reckless and juvenile and moronic, and, you know, he's got, you know, we don't know who was driving, and that whoever that person was, you know, that they have to bear the brunt and responsibility of it. We'll never know because, you know, they're all dead, and a real tragedy. And I'm sorry for his loss and for his family. And his blood alcohol levels through the roof. So that tells you his state of mind and everyone else's. And when you get that high up, you don't operate a car, you don't fly a plane, and you don't ride a motorcycle, and you don't ride a high-speed boat at night. It's just asking for trouble.
It's definitely true, and he was 23, sad story, and you could tragedy indeed, and just horrible story. So I guess we'll wrap it up with this. Your opinion for the hot car death trial.
He's gone down. He's going to be convicted. The presentation
first degree
on how the child died. He's going to get murder conviction. How the child died, the pain that the child endured prior to dying, the torturing pain, coupled with his lifestyle and craziness that day, texting and just in a total, you know, obsessed state, neglecting his child that supposedly he loved.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do him in. At the end of the day, I think any holdouts will be persuaded, and I think he's going to go down. But again, just remember, these are tough jury instructions explaining the law here, and the jurors are, took a vow to apply the law, and some of them could be, hung up on an instruction on how to interpret it, and that could lead to a problem on a conviction. But look, I think he's going to get convicted.
Richard, you gave us a great show tonight. Appreciate it indeed. We can look for you on CNN, I guess, Saturday, right?
We do it every Saturday. This January is going to be 16 years. Every Saturday
16?
on CNN. 16 this
16?
January with Frederica Whitfield.
Awesome.
And, say goodbye to Nancy. She's leaving CNN. I did Nancy for the first couple of years all the time. And she asked me to come do her. I did her second to last show. So, I got her private email and phone and everything. So and she moves over to Fox. That's what she does. But good for her. And, it's been a long time. This Saturday, we're going to do Hillary and whether she should get counsel because of this lock her up thing. So we're going to cover that this Saturday around 12:30 Eastern time on CNN. And Jordan, it's just wonderful, man. I enjoy doing your show. I'm honored to do it for you and for your great listeners who are just wonderful, and they say such nice things. And some of them don't always agree with me. They don't always agree with me, but they're respectful and they're kind, and isn't that really what it's all about? So
that's what it's about.
That's what it's about, man. And you're wonderful, and I wish you all the best. And stay healthy, and let's keep our fingers crossed everything works out good.
Okay. You still pulling for your Giants?
I'm disgusted with the Giants. I'm beyond disgusted. This Giants are one of the most disappointing things to happen to me in sport in a long time, because this year I thought they had something. They got nothing. The Giants have nothing. Since Cincinnati is going to blow. Cincinnati is going to beat them, and how are you going to elevate a offensive coordinator as head coach and then start a year with no offense? Because they have no offense. They have no running game. They have no offensive line. They have no pass rush. They have nothing. All they can do is throw the ball. They have three of the best receivers in football. One of them is a total head case. And look.
Odell Beckham.
Yeah, I mean he's incredible. Maybe
his mind though.
Him and Jones are the two best, but at the end of the day, he's got to get control of himself, and that's all they can do is throw the ball. And I'm telling you, Eli looks like he is afraid. He drops back to pass. He's wobbly feet. He's shaky. And he's got that look on his face, and I'm just, oh my God! And I have no comfort in this team. They can't run the ball, and if you can't run, you can't win in the NFL. So forget it. And you take a look at Dallas, who I hate, and you just have to sit back and say, wow, this Dak Prescott is playing his ass off. This team is playing great, inspired
football. Yeah, I was
football.
just about to ask you.
I'm very proud. They're playing
Dallas
so good. They got to test this week. They're going to play Pittsburgh. They're going to play a beat-up Pittsburgh team. So we'll see if they blow out Pittsburgh. I mean, they're really – and you look at Oakland, who's really playing pretty good ball right now, Oakland. But you can say all these teams in Atlanta, and they're all great, but there's one thing. There's one team 3 notches above everybody, and that's the Patriots. And nobody gets on the field with the Patriots. Nobody.
Oh, the Patriots. So give me your 2 teams that will wind up in the Super Bowl.
Well, the Patriots are going to Super Bowl, and they're going to win it. So
Patriots are going to Super Bowl. Who are they going to play?
Maybe they play Dallas. I mean, I don't know. Green Bay doesn't have it. Minnesota's garbage. They've been exposed. New Orleans doesn't have it to go to Super Bowl. Arizona doesn't have it either. They're a head case team. So who are they going to play? Who's it going to be? Seattle? Seattle's going to go to the Super Bowl again? I mean, this guy's hurt. Who knows what's wrong with him? They're never going to tell you what's wrong with him, but he's definitely hurt. He's not mobile like he used to be. So, I mean, if that Cam Chancellor comes back, that defense gets much better. And could they beat Dallas in the playoffs? Yeah, I think they could beat Dallas in the playoffs. So, could they end up? I think they're going to Foxborough this weekend. Seattle, New England. That could be a preview of the Super Bowl. That could be a preview of Super Bowl this weekend.
Really?
But Dallas is on such a roll, and I feel bad for this kid because they're just waiting.
To Romo?
They're waiting for something for him to mess up one thing, and they're going to put Romo in. You know that, and that'll mess up the chemistry, and then I don't care. Then they can fall off the face of the earth. But this kid's playing great ball.
What about Jerry Jones? What's your take on him?
I hate him. I hate Jerry Jones. He's garbage.
I hate him.
He's treated his other coaches bad. You know, he had one of the greatest coaches in football. Yeah. Treated him. Guy wins at Miami, comes on your team, gives you Super Bowls, and you treat him like garbage because you're jealous of him. I mean, come on, give me a break, Jimmy Jones. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not a big fan. You know, he fell in love with this coach who on any other team would have been fired for the records of the last few years. So I don't think he's a good owner. And you know what? He should be a good owner. He's got, you know, great city, great stadium, you know, tons of money. But look,
who is better, him or Steinbrenner in their prime?
No, George is the best. George took control, and he had a voracious appetite to win, and he wouldn't tolerate losing. Look at the Yankees now. My God, I mean, come on, these guys. You know, when are they ever going to be in the playoffs again? When are they going to get that relief pitcher? Are they going to get him from the Cubs? The Yankees?
Oh,
Chapman.
What's it? Get him back?
Chapman.
Yeah, I believe so. That's what they're saying. He wants $100 million.
I'm reading stuff. They say maybe they're going to get Chapman.
And I heard the Batista going to get and Cespedes. That's the big rumor.
They need to buy everybody
like
so we can go, so we can win again. We need 27 or 28. We need to do it.
It's only been 7 years. Only 7 years.
For New Yorker, that's like 108. That's like 108 7 years for New Yorkers. So.
Yes. Richard, you are the best. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll have you back real soon.
Thank you, Jordan. Be well. God bless. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the great Richard Herman. Catch him Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, he gave the many shout-outs that I wanted to give. Madeline, you did a wonderful job tonight, Maddie, of all your stuff. Vicky, Pager, everybody. This was an awesome show. If you want to listen to it again, it'll be on iTunes. Also, KingJordanSportsAndMedia.com. If you want to make a donation to keep the radio station going, go ahead and do that. That'd be great. From $1 to nothing to 50 cents to anything you want. We would appreciate that. Also, Joseph Scott Morgan will be here next week. So remember that. And maybe, I can't say who else I'm in talks with because I don't want to mess up things. With that in mind, let's go to Throwback Thursday, and it's Dirty by Nature, OPP. Okay, let's see if we have... Good night, everybody.